What I wanted to do here today was just to have a go over my hobby army High Elves, which I've been working on the last couple of years, and take the opportunity to show it off, talk about what I've done, and you know, just to log this for myself as well as to maybe share it for others. So here's a starting with, from left to right, all the good stuff. Here we go. So here's the spread of all the High Elves that have been painted so far. I'll talk a little bit about how I got into this. The local shop asked me to paint up for them the initial starter stuff from the Island of Blood a couple years ago, so I did that favor, and then kind of took it from there. So here's some of the first guys that I did. These, in fact, are the Sea Guard from the opener set, and then along the way, of course, I acquired a whole bunch of extras from Island of Blood sets, and here they are. Admittedly, these guys nearly broke me. So many fiddly bits on them, extra stuff that you can't ignore. Laurels, ribbons, gemstones, bits, bobs, etc. Which is fine when you're doing a small bit of stuff, but when you got to do 50 of them, crazy. The bolt throwers here I mounted on some round bases. These are actually 40K bases that I had from ages ago, and but they make it nice and compact, keep them together. Old Eagle that used to be a part of the Wood Elves and has now been transferred over to the good old High Elves. And these are the archers. Again, not a whole lot of them, because I figure if your core options are guy with bow, guy with spear, or a guy with spear and bow, may as well go with them. This is a dragon that I got as a Christmas gift from a pal of mine, and I actually painted this thing twice because I was totally unsatisfied with the first go round. What I was really trying to aim for was a storm dragon and getting some lightning effects on the wings. And that took a few goes to get it right. I think I'm satisfied with it at the moment, and pleased with how that finally came together. The prince is mounted on top. I have done a mage as well, but I certainly don't intend to use that very often in game terms. Right here, this is the pride and joy of any High Elf, the White Lions. There's probably no better way to spend 15 points in all of Warhammer. And herein, I've also done a unit filler using the lions from the chariot, and that creates some fun. I'm going to do an overhead here to let you have a look at that. Core Hill is also stuck in there to lead. This was the most recent paint job, was the Dragon Princes. Again, pretty fiddly. Had a little bit of a struggle with these guys, but ultimately, I'm happy with how they turned out here. Did a little bit of freehand painting on the banners themselves, and a couple of people have asked me about this and how I go about it. Well, honestly, the approach is that I sketch it out on paper first. If I can do that to satisfaction, then I'll paint over my sketch. And if that comes to satisfaction, then I'm ready to actually paint it on the figure itself. Replicating things on two sides of the same banner have never been my forte, so what I did instead was paint a different image on the other side. Okay. Here's the battle standard bearer. Those are the reins from the dragon, actually, used as a banner, because I wasn't satisfied with the super long pennant. Coming back around here, we're going to look at Sword Masters. Again, with acquiring lots of Isle of Blood things, got quite a few of them. So this is typically how I field them, in a unit of 14, 7 wide. Of course, you can see the Isle of Blood mage there on the left side, and then the bulk of the remainder of them. Not that I ever field them deep like this. They're more of a unit to get wide and most in contact. So that's them. Way over here on the far right side is units that have never seen the battlefield in a game. The Reavers are just not point effective for what they're going to do for me compared to the rest of the stuff that I have in my special choices. Looking at characters now, I'm going to go up to the top of the tower. Here is the Griffin Rider, straight out of the Isle of Blood. This is one of the things I painted for the shop to start off. Kind of got me hooked. We'll pan back again for a second, and then come in one more time to look at some characters. The other option for battle standard bearer on foot is this gentleman right here. That banner itself sculpted on, for those of you that are familiar with High Elves. So it's just painted with the relief that's already there. Down below him, this little mage in the center, actually an Avatars of War figure that I thought looked good and obviously very high elfy, so we put her to use. Here is Teclis. This is the old Teclis model, but I guess they re-released him as a fine cast. This is actually a metal one, but we made him some sort of extra plinth to stand upon, some whirling magic underneath him. This fellow right up at the front though, this is perhaps my favorite model of all the Warhammer range. Pretty pleased with him. I'm going to sort of manipulate him a little bit here. Give you a bit of another look and maybe we'll pull him out. Yeah, this guy is just stoic, standing strong there, epitomizing what the High Elves are all about. I tried to do a little something with his sword that would ideally be best done if I owned an airbrush and knew how to use it, but I don't. So that was an attempt at non-airbrush what should be airbrushed. Did some sigils and runes on the cloak itself, and overall, still, this guy's probably one of my favorite models as far as the sculpt and the figure. Good. Okay, so there you have it. Oh, I've knocked over some Swordmasters here. Well, I guess one last thing to talk about is I did do a display base for these fellas, so it's not just the front of these models done for standing in the river. We've actually got a coastal sea line thing, which I'll maybe show off in a different video. But there it is. That's a look at the High Elves. And at the time of year that we're at right now, all the rumors are coming out about new High Elf models. So although I have sort of put these guys away from painting for a moment, it's probably not too far away before they come back into action. And we'll add some phoenixes and maybe some flying chariots to this. Anyway, thanks for watching. As always.